Later, Raya suddenly gets an intense craving for seafood, so he casually strolls down to the beach, but the moment Raya arrives, his eyes widen in shock at the massive shipwreck sprawled out before him. Raya rushes forward, quickly noticing a man lying next to the broken vessel. Raya kneels to check on him, only to find out the poor man is already dead. But then Raya hears a faint growl nearby and excitement floods through him because this is the first living human he has encountered since arriving in this world. The survivor named Abel recalls fragmented memories of a massive octopus-like monster attacking his ship during a violent storm, causing him to plunge into the sea. But when Abel wakes up, he is surprised to find himself in some stranger's house. Confused but grateful he is alive, Abel quickly runs upright, panicking as he searches for other survivors. As Abel staggers outside, he becomes even more confused, realizing Abel has no clue where he is. Just then Ryu appears quietly behind him, startling Abel because despite being a seasoned warrior, he couldn't sense Ryu's presence at all. And Abel is also equally stunned by Ryu's bizarre clothes. But Abel decides to avoid mentioning it for now politely. Instead, Abel introduces himself properly and thanks Ryu for saving him. Ryu awkwardly replies that Abel was the only guy still breathing and the rest were already dead when he got there. Abel quickly assures him not to worry about it, casually revealing those guys were just sketchy smugglers anyway, but before he can say more, his stomach interrupts him with a loud growl. Laughing awkwardly, Ryu suggests they continue the talk over some food. Abel follows him inside, but Abel finally brings up Ryu's bizarre clothing. Ryu explains that he simply has no other clothing and lacks the materials to craft new ones, so Abel casually advises him just to buy some, but immediately feels awkward, thinking Ryu might be too poor to afford new clothes. But Ryu quickly eases Abel's guilt by explaining he is the only human living in this place, so there is nobody to sell him clothes. Then Abel gets curious, asking if Ryu hunts to get things. Ryu nods and Abel curiously asks if he uses that little knife Ryu has got. Then Ryu demonstrates his impressive water magic, mentioning that magic is his primary hunting method. Abel is astonished, revealing that only about half the world's population can use magic, and he unfortunately belongs to the half that can't. This surprises Ryu because the angel had told him that just 20% of people possess magical abilities. Afterwards, Abel requests that Ryu take him down to the shore as there is something important he needs to verify. On their way down to the beach, Abel suddenly tries to act all heroic, telling Ryu to stay behind him if they encounter any danger. Ryu calmly replies that it is not necessary, but Abel insists, clearly not wanting to feel like a helpless person. Ryu allows him to do as he wishes, and soon they reach the wrecked ship, but all the bodies have mysteriously vanished. Ryu figures either the monsters or the sea already took care of them. Then Abel thanks Ryu again, knowing he would have met the same fate without him. Abel grumbles a bit, mentioning that he couldn't find whatever Abel was looking for, and says that right now his priority is meeting back up with his crew. The problem is the storm knocked his ship far south to nowhere, leaving him completely unsure about which way to go next. Then Abel suddenly perks up, turning to Ryu and casually asking if he would like to come along. Ryu is surprised by this sudden invitation, and Abel quickly explains that he could use Ryu's help to find his way back, and in return, Abel could give Ryu a decent job in the city, one where he might not have to dress this way anymore. After thinking it through, Ryu eventually agrees to guide Abel back. Later that evening, Ryu stands quietly looking at the garden he has painstakingly grown, feeling a strange pang of sadness at the thought of leaving all his hard work behind. That night, Ryu tells Abel he is heading out to say goodbye to someone important. Abel raises an eyebrow, obviously curious who Ryu could be meeting in the middle of nowhere, but decides not to pry, probably sensing it's none of his business. Afterwards, Ryu walks over to the lake to find the headless knight. Standing by the quiet waters, Ryu announces he is leaving the forest for a long time. Ryu thanks the knight for all the training, then dramatically whips out his knife, promising to go all out one last time. Without a word, the knight draws his sword ready to fight. Ryu charges strongly, delivering blow after blow like he is in the final fight, driving the knight backwards relentlessly. Eventually, Ryu exhausts himself, panting heavily as the knight silently retreats into the lake again. Catching his breath, Ryu offers one final heartfelt thank, and of course the knight keeps silent. Just as Ryu is about to leave, the knight unexpectedly turns around and magically summons an armored suit straight out of the water, apparently his parting gift. Ryu gets embarrassingly sentimental at the gesture, choking out another thank you before heading back home. The following day, Ryu and Abel gear up to set out on their journey. As they get ready, Ryu finds himself surprisingly nostalgic about leaving the isolated place he called home for so long. Soon after, they encounter a wild boar in the forest, and Abel quickly asks Ryu to leave it to him. Abel rushes toward the boar with his sword drawn, swiftly unleashing a combat skill that instantly turns the poor animal into small pieces. Amazed, Raya asks what exactly combat skills are, and Abel explains that they are special techniques used by those who fight using weapons. At night they camp inside a large hollow tree, and the next morning they continue their journey through the forest. As they approach a swamp, they spot several lizard men roaming around. Abel decides it's best to avoid them and suggests changing their route, since lizard men can be quite strong opponents. But even after they change their path, Raya senses the creatures still pursuing them from behind. Abel immediately prepares to fight, but Raya warns him that there are too many enemies this time, insisting he will use his magic as well. Abel doubts Raya can fight without his staff, but he is left stunned when Raya instantly blasts 4 lizard men at once with ice lances. After the battle ends, Abel questions Ryu about the spell he just cast. Raya casually replies that it was just a regular ice lance, but Abel insists his wind mage friends are limited to casting only 1 attack at a time. At the same time, Raya effortlessly summoned 4 ice lances simultaneously. Raya shrugs it off, suggesting maybe it's just a limitation of wind magic because it's normal for water magic. Abel decides not to dwell on it too much, suggesting they continue their journey. But before moving forward, Raya creates ice glasses and fills them with water. Abel notices Raya used a different incantation this time, but Raya quickly covers it up by saying that he must have misheard him earlier. As they keep traveling, Abel hands Ryu a coin, and Ryu excitedly claims this is the first time he has ever seen actual money. Abel is speechless, having always assumed Ryu was poor but never imagined he was that poor. Then Abel begins explaining to Ryu about the 3 major nations within the central provinces: the Kingdom of Nightly, the Dabuhi Empire, and the Handlyu Federation. Ryu immediately starts joking about the Dabuhi Empire just because he finds its name ridiculous. While Ryu continues joking about the Empire's absurd name, they reach a wide clearing. But just then a rock near them moves on its own, startling both of them. Abel quickly draws his sword and slices it neatly in half, and Ryu's water barrier deflects the barrage of flying stones. Abel realizes with dread that they have accidentally wandered into a nest of rock golems. Confused, Ryu wonders if golems aren't supposed to be more humanoid-shaped, but Abel decides they have got bigger problems to handle first. Charging forward, Abel punches a hole straight through the nearest golem, but to his surprise the golem instantly regenerates, returning fire immediately. Abel swiftly retreats, grimacing, and warns Ryu that conventional attacks won't do much against these things. However, Ryu suddenly gets a clever idea, summoning a massive block of ice in midair. Then Ryu drops it right on top of the golems, crushing them flat. Abel's jaw nearly hits the ground in shock, having never witnessed such a ridiculously effective spell before. Ryu, thoroughly pleased with himself, repeats the ice block maneuver a few more times, effortlessly clearing out the rest of the golems. After the dust settles, they find one particularly special rock golem embedded with a large magic stone, and Abel excitedly notes that such a stone would fetch a great price. Ryu wistfully says he would love to grab the magic stones from the other golems too, but sighs dramatically, admitting it is not possible now. Continuing their journey, they soon stumble upon an enormous crocodile hippo creature sprawled out before them. Abel gasps, and calling it a behemoth, a ridiculously rare and powerful monster he has only heard legends about. Ryu eagerly asks if they should hunt it, but Abel quickly shakes his head, insisting they don't stand a chance. Just then a group of wyverns swoop down from above, capturing Ryu's attention immediately. Ryu is excited to witness an epic monster battle. Moments later, the wyverns waste no time launching magical rocks at the behemoth, but the beast simply roars defiantly, canceling out their magic and sending the wyverns tumbling to the ground. Impressed, Ryu casually tells Abel that the massive creature likely has some magic cancellation skill. Later that night over dinner, Abel curiously asks Ryu about the magic cancellation skill, since he had only heard of certain dungeon traps having such a powerful ability. Ryu's eyes sparkle at the mention of dungeons, excitedly demanding to know more. Abel mentions there is a dungeon in the city of Lune exactly where they are heading. Ryu dramatically loses it, annoyed that Abel didn't bother mentioning something so crucial earlier, and playfully interrogates him about any other secrets he might be hiding. Abel awkwardly asks if Ryu at least knows about dwarves and elves, but Ryu urges him to tell the details anyway. After a few days, they finally reach a mountain range, and Ryu confidently says they will find some human settlement just beyond those mountains. Abel raises an eyebrow, skeptically asking how Ryu can be so sure. Ryu briefly considers telling Abel about the dragon he casually chatted with, who conveniently tells all the secrets of this world, but decides not to, and Ryu settles instead on dramatically replying that it's knowledge beyond human comprehension. Just as Abel is about to call him out of his thoughts, they suddenly hear a strange noise nearby. Instantly, they both take out their weapons at the ready. Seconds later, a massive monster, a griffin, soars down from the sky straight toward them, prompting both to freak out spectacularly. Abel immediately panicked, his mind racing with ways they were about to become bird food, but Raya swiftly saved them by tossing a large chunk of meat high into the air. Abel quickly copies him, tossing another chunk skyward, so the griffin eagerly snatches both pieces mid-flight and casually flies away, clearly uninterested in them. After a tense pause, they both exhale, deeply relieved that they are not at dinner tonight, and they admit shakily that picking a fight with something like that would have ended terribly. As they continue onward, Abel starts rambling about how nobody has even seen a behemoth or a griffin in over a century, suggesting the tall mountains might have kept these powerful creatures from reaching populated areas. That reminds Raya that the wyverns they saw earlier came from the north, meaning their nest must be nearby. As usual, Raya's instincts are spot on, as they soon stumble upon a small group of wyverns eating some unfortunate monster. Raya eagerly suggests fighting them, but Abel quickly shuts him down, warning him that it typically takes at least 20 experienced adventurers to handle creatures as tough as wyverns. Raya shrugs calmly, reminding Abel that they'll inevitably face strong monsters eventually. Then, with a mischievous smile, Raya asks if pinning them to the ground would make things easier for Abel. Abel cautiously agrees, saying he can handle one or two up close if they are grounded. Without hesitation, Raya dramatically steps forward, loudly chanting and deliberately exaggerating a fake spell before casually summoning 4 icicles that stab through the wyvern's wings, pinning them in place. Abel doesn't waste the opportunity and swiftly leaps forward, ending their misery. But before they can celebrate, 2 more wyverns swoop in aggressively. This time Raya instantly summons more icicles, but without bothering with any chanting. Abel notices immediately, casting a suspicious glance at Raya, but decides to save the questions for later. After dispatching the new threats, they gather the magic stones from the defeated wyverns and continue their journey northward. So now what will happen next? Subscribe to our channel to find out what will happen next. Friends, before we wrap up, we've recently launched a membership program where you can enjoy perks like early access to videos and exclusive content just for members, and many more to enhance your interactions. If you're interested, consider joining our membership. To enjoy these benefits, check out the link in the description to join. So friends, if you enjoyed our recap video, please like and share it. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Thank you for watching.